Intimate partner violence is experienced by 1 in 3 women all over the world. Sexual abuse in Nigeria is highest in Sokoto State at 31.6%. Child marriage is highest in Bauchi State at 72%, while female genital mutilation is highest in the southeastern part of Nigeria at 50.6%. These are some of the findings of the recently released Sexual and Gender-Based Violence, Harmful Practices, and Obstetric Fistula in Nigeria Landscape Analysis reports. We'll get into it in our focus on the FCT, as well as the referral centers set up in the nation's capital to handle sexual and gender-based violence cases. As of today, 6 states in Nigeria have not domesticated the Violence Against Persons Act for God knows what reason. My guest on the program helps us understand why, and we catch up on the need for special courts to try these cases. We also have a roundup of major stories from Nigeria's presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. We begin with the major stories making the news from Nigeria's seat of power.
7 months before his exit, President Muhammadu Buhari began a final ministerial performance review in a retreat at the State House, where he declared that he has met the yearnings of Nigerians. Among several achievements, President Buhari stated that the goal to increase electricity generation to 25,000 megawatts in 6 years is on course, as the first batch of transformers have arrived in the country.
We have implemented high-impact projects across the length and breadth of the country that meet the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. The implementation of a willing buyer, willing seller policy introduced by this administration has opened up opportunities for increased delivery of electricity to underserved homes and industries. We will continue to review and prosecute high-profile corruption cases and ensure speedy completion.
A week after presenting the 2022 National Honors Award, President Buhari presented the Nigeria Excellence Award in Public Service, where awards were conferred on 44 distinguished individuals, including former President Goodluck Jonathan, Senate President Mr. Ahmed Lawan, Speaker of the House of Representatives Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, 16 governors, 5 ministers, service chiefs, amongst others.
Public service is a public trust where officers and even employees must be accountable to the people whom they should serve at all times with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency. They are expected to act with patriotism and think out of the box in order to solve the many problems facing the people which they lead.
This week, the President also signed into law the Nigeria Startup Bill. The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Mr. Issa Pantami, made the announcement after the signing ceremony in the President's office.
Mr. President has assented to the bill and also conveyed to the relevant institutions of government for gazetting. And the approach we adopted was to allow our young startups, our young innovators all over the country to identify the challenges they were being confronted with when it comes to intellectual property, financing, regulation, incentive, among many others. The minimum at the start, based on the provision of the law, is 10 billion naira.
The President received a special envoy from President Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone. In a statement after the meeting, he wished the West African nation the best of luck in its general elections billed for June next year. Nigeria remains dedicated to the partnership with Siemens and the German government to improve electricity generation in the country. The president made the pledge when he received officials of Siemens Energy, urging them not to relent in ensuring that the government's commitment to Nigerians in delivering the Presidential Power Initiative is fulfilled. Aside from the extractive industry, agriculture and food processing especially, the export of manufactured and processed food is really where the potential and wealth of Nigeria lie. Vice President Professor Yemi Oshinbajo stated this at the launch of the Seeds for the Future Foundation Education Grant, an initiative of Olam Agri.
I do not think that there is any business that so poignantly demonstrates the importance of faith, patience, resilience, and hope as agriculture does. Planting seeds, tending them until they create food, wealth, and sound health for all. So it's an absolute pleasure to see how these important attributes now form the values for the Seeds of the Future, or Seeds for the Future Foundation. And this Seeds for the Future Foundation espouses these same values through its various interventions. Very well done indeed.
Professor Oshinbajo also presided over the virtual meeting of the National Economic Council, where it was resolved that a committee of the federal government and state governors will be set up to liaise with other relevant stakeholders to find immediate and long-term solutions to flooding problems across the country. The federal government has confirmed that the construction of the second Niger Bridge has been completed and will soon be ready for public use. The Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, made the announcement at the inaugural edition of the President Muhammadu Buhari Administration Scorecard 2015 to 2023.
That is a photograph of the second Niger Bridge, taken about 2 weeks ago at night. So the bridge itself is finished. For those who are concerned about that, it's finished. What remains is the link road. There's a 4-kilometer link road on the Asada side. Right now, our dredger is in place. We have to build the road by reclaiming sand. So flood has slowed us down there at the moment. So we're waiting for the water to recede. On the Onitsha side, there's a 7-kilometer road that links this bridge and the Onitsha-Owerri interchange. The last time I visited, we had covered about 5 kilometers out of the 7 asphalted. So we're still racing against time. We've lost some time now due to nature, but we keep going. But in terms of the bridge, the crossing completed.
The Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, has disclosed that over 2,000 officers of the service have been laid off and prosecuted because they were found to have compromised the system, as he cautions Nigerians to be wary of being scammed by such officers. The Customs Boss made a revelation at the weekly ministerial briefing in the State House.
Since we took over, I can give not even a percentage. I'll tell you over 2,000 plus officers have been sacked out of the service. Within these 7 years, we have sacked more officers than Customs has ever done, because we dismiss them. After dismissal, we make sure that we prosecute you. We take you to court and we'll get you prosecuted and jailed.
Welcome back. The Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act is in full effect in the Federal Capital Territory since it was passed by the National Assembly. There's also a functional sex offenders register. The National Agency Prohibiting Trafficking in Persons released the Violence Against Persons Annual Implementation Report for 2020, showing, among other things, that people under the age of 18 experience sexual and gender-based violence the most. Women are the prime targets, but there's also a rising number of men dealing with sexual and gender-based violence. In early September of 2022, Sexual and Gender-Based Violence, Harmful Practices and Obstetric Fistula in Nigeria Landscape Analysis Report was released, and its disappointing findings are detailed in our focus on the FCT. There's more awareness and urgency on the part of responders and stakeholders, and sexual assault referral centers are expanding all over the country, just like this one in our focus on the FCT. Please watch this. This is the first landscape analysis report in Nigeria done by the United Nations Population Fund, examining root causes and enabling environments leading to women and girl-child demographics suffering from sexual and gender-based violence, harmful cultural practices, and obstetric fistula. The findings are that genital mutilation is highest in the southeast at 50.6%. Obstetric fistula awareness is generally low across the country. There are over 114,000 cases of obstetric fistula yearly, and at the current rate of treatment, which is about 2,800 cases per annum, it'll take 40 years to clear the backlog of cases. Intimate partner violence is experienced by 1 in 3 women, more prevalent in adolescents aged 10 to 19 years old and uneducated women, while sexual abuse is highest in Sokoto State at 31.6%. Child marriage is highest in Bauchi State at 72% and lowest in Ogun State at 1.3%. The findings underscore the plea by the United Nations that the findings be taken seriously and recommendations implemented by the Nigerian government.
UNFPA remains committed to working closely with government and other partners in creating the right environment for promotion of gender equality and, of course, for the realization of its 3 transformative results, which is ending unmet need for family planning, ending preventable maternal deaths, and ending gender-based violence and harmful practices, including child marriage and FGM, by 2030. We will continue to hold partners and governments, civil society organizations accountable to the pledges that we have all met. They are made voluntary, and we need to take them to heart. When we do that, when we continue to advocate for the rights of the disadvantaged women and girls to ensure that we deliver on our 3 transformative goals, we ensure a world where no one is left behind and everybody's voices are heard.
The key recommendation of the report is the need for a multi-pronged, multi-sectoral approach to tackle these issues once and for all. The wife of the Vice President underscores this in an ardent plea.
The statistics provided indicates a great need for intervention. This data is key as it enables all who choose to speak up and act towards zero tolerance for GBV and harmful practices in order to target the specific areas of need as revealed, thereby achieving greater success and having a higher impact. GBV is a global pandemic, and statistics reveal that 1 in 3 women, as we've heard repeatedly, in their lifetime will be affected. 1 in 3. 1, 2, 3. 1 in 3. 1 woman, a second woman, and a third woman. It means each time we count women, 1, 2, 3. Let's save her before she becomes a victim. Speak to him so he is not counted among the perpetrators. Enlighten the result of bad choices. Sexual harassment at work, at school, or at home. Who will stand up for the girl that is chased around the office by her superior? Who will stand up for the girl whose grades depend on what she does with those that are in authority over her?
I'm here standing to assure you that we will do whatever it takes to see the fruition of this report. That it doesn't go to the dustbin like so many other reports of so many other things in our lives in this country. Time for us to wake up and face this menace. We must ensure offenders are punished. Lawbreakers must be punished. Anybody trying to violate the rights of our women and our children must be punished. Can you open a register of sex offenders so that these people will be put there, be brought to shame? Let's shame them and convict them openly so as to deter others from thinking about that.
Congratulations, congrats to you.
The figures from this particular data are really damning, and the United Nations is urging all government officials at local and state levels to make sure they implement the recommendations of this report and use the data to fight gender-based violence and fistula in Nigeria. My guest on the program is the Director of Legal and Prosecution at the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Mr. Hassan Tahir. Why hasn't the Violence Against Persons Act been passed in all states in Nigeria? Are there high-profile individuals who've been convicted of sexual and gender-based violence crimes? When will these special courts be created? He answers these and a lot more in this conversation. Mr. Tahir, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you.
3,600 cases in 2020 of sexual and gender-based violence. You know, you've been doing this for quite a while. When you hear these figures of people who are being battered and whose lives are being destroyed like this, how does that make the agency feel? How does that make you feel? Because you run the legal end of things, and most of those cases land at your desk. How does that feel sometimes?
Well, first of all, I must say that these figures are frightening. It's unfortunate that we're having this kind of figures, and that we are doing our best to ensure that we reduce to the barest minimum cases of SGBV, not only in Abuja, but throughout Nigeria. I would like to point one thing here. The Violence Against Persons Act came in to plug the loopholes found in penal codes and criminal codes.
We'll get to the VAP Act and,
Yes.
and the fact that a lot of states have not
domesticated
them.
yes.
Yeah, we'll get to that shortly. I want to get your experience.
Yes.
Let's say this year, how many cases of sexual and gender-based violence have you had to look into this year?
Well, this year from January to date, we have hundreds of them. And that as soon as we receive cases of SGBV, what we used to do is to commence investigation.
Has there been any, have you been able to prosecute this year and actually get convictions?
Yeah. For your information, we even got a life sentence conviction.
Life sentence?
Life sentence, yes.
In Abuja?
Yeah, in Abuja here. And in some cases...
The person is in jail right now?
He's in jail right now. And in some cases, the minimum the judge gives as per the provision of the act is 12 years imprisonment. And we have gotten 12 years imprisonment for such cases. 12 years, 14 years, even though some appeal against the judgment of the court, but we are going there to ensure that the judgment of the lower court is affirmed.
Another reason why people are a little skeptical about reporting these cases when they happen is the legal process and how long it takes. And sometimes you get to these bottlenecks. You know, it frustrates a lot of people. And I get that. But there is something that has been happening this year with the 16 days of advocacy,
yes.
Where you've been trying to convince the government to create special courts.
Yes.
You know, talk to us a bit about how these courts are going to run.
We discovered that cases of rape is very rampant. That is why we are advocating for a special court to try these cases. As you rightly pointed out at the beginning of this program, about 3,000 plus cases of rape or SGBV, or cases that borders on SGBV were recorded. So because of that, we are trying to see and ensure that special courts meant purposely to advocate on this matter are created or are set aside so that it will send a signal that, number one, there is a special court. Number two, that this court do not waste time in passing judgment. Number three, it is a kind of, as I said, sending a message to those who are likely to engage or involved in this kind of heinous crime.
So yes, and I've even seen the mock trials that have been going on.
Yes.
What's the hope that you will get it?
Well,
is there a chance that you will get these special courts this year, next year? What's the hope for it?
Well, the hope is that we have to make a special case.
Has that case been made?
Yes, we are making special case. Number one, we have to, as I said, pay courtesy visit or courtesy call to the heads of the court who are responsible for appointing or setting aside special court to try these cases.
Has there been a positive response from any of these people?
Yes, we have been going there and we have been promised that special court will be created. Even if special court could not be created, at least special judges should be designated. You understand? Special judges that will be that are trained
for SGBV.
For SGBV will be designated to handle. Well, it's in the process. It's in the process. Will be trained. I mean, special judges that will be trained so that they can handle these SGBV cases. It is in the pipeline.
When?
No, I'm telling
everyone
you.
Who has been a part of the process of trying to get judgments,
yes,
or trying to get justice,
yes,
in the case of sexual and gender-based, yes, violence, who's listening right now is shouting the same thing I'm shouting right now. When?
Very soon. Very soon. I assure you that before next year ends, we'll get that either special court
or special
judges assigned, special judges assigned to advocate on the SGBV cases.
So that will be the end of 2022?
Yeah, that's our hope. And we hope to achieve that. Yes, and with the kind of advocacy we're embarking upon, I'm sure we will reach there.
Talk to us a bit about the VAP Act. Let's get there now. You've taken your time to explain to us. My question has to do with its domestication.
Domestication, you know.
How many states have domesticated right now? How many states have not domesticated, and why?
You see, we have 27 states that domesticated the VAP Act now.
Okay.
Currently, and also we have 6 states that passed the act, and the act is yet to be assented to by the government. I mean, by the various governors. We have states that domesticated the act. I don't have them offhand, but we have 27 states of the federation have domesticated this act.
Yeah, I'm talking about the ones that have not domesticated.
The ones that have not domesticated, I cannot say it openly now.
How are we going to get them?
But we
have to be able to name them so they can see. So we can see where our problem is.
We just launched a report on the VAP Act now, the implementation report. So those that domesticated the act and those that do not or fail or refuses to domesticate the act are there. It was from that report that we were able to know the number of states that domesticated the act, the number of states that passed the act but could not be assented to by their governors.
What are some of the reasons that you're getting from some of these governors as to why they've not domesticated the VAP Act in their
politics.
States? What type of politics?
Politics. You know, some are against the act.
Why?
For reason best
known
to them.
It's a good act.
It is a good act. As I said earlier, it is a very good piece of legislation.
That protects your people.
Our people,
yes,
of course.
It protects
I'm
talking about
people.
The governor. It protects your people.
Exactly. It
from
provides maximum protection. Mm-hmm. Mark my word.
So what's the politics?
Maximum
what
protection.
Could possibly be wrong with this?
Well, it could be because, as I said, because of politics. They don't want to. They don't want to offend maybe certain section of the populace.
What section of the populace would be against the protection of people?
Yes, it could be their supporters. Their supporters.
That's very strange to me.
Yeah, it's strange. It sounds strange as well to me. It sounds strange. But politics is the bottom line. If not because of politics, we wouldn't have been here talking about the domestication of the VAP Act.
What sort of people would be against the protection of both men and women? Because VAP covers
both sexes.
Both sexes.
Yes.
What section of people would have a problem
if I may say,
with people being protected from violence? I don't understand
this. If I may say, it could be the perpetrators of the act. Certainly, they wouldn't the act
perpetrators would be so powerful enough that a governor would have no choice but to bow to their whims and caprices.
Of course.
People who are perpetrating this kind of violence.
Of course, it's possible. It's possible. I'm telling you. It's possible.
Congratulations on the 16 days of activism.
Thank you.
Good luck with the work that you do. And thank you so much for being with us on Dateline Abuja.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks to my guest, Barrister Tario, for speaking with us, and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. Well, we decided to name the states that have not passed the Violence Against Persons Act, so you all can join us in asking their governors what the holdup is. Gombe State, Kano State, Katsina State, Niger State, Sokoto State, and Zamfara State. You can petition your lawmakers in those states and petition the governors there to expedite action on this piece of legislation that keeps us safe. That's our show this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.